In my book, Top Sales Producer, I talk a lot about the challenges that I experience when switching from selling services to software. Software sales typically have a longer sales cycle, more stakeholders involved, and most importantly, change management. Change management involves all of the processes and workflow that are going to change within an organization by switching over to your software. Today, I'm going to cover off on the main components of change management and how to navigate them both as the buyer and the seller. For this example, I'm going to use switching over from executing digital media in managed services versus self-service. But these components will apply to all kinds of software sales. There are strong financial benefits to executing programmatic in-house, but it needs to be under the right conditions for a company to experience them. It needs to be a motivated team. They need to have the resources available to make the change. So your first step as a seller or a buyer is to identify whether this is going to be a good candidate to switching to programmatic in-house. As a buyer, you need to ask yourself, do we have the resources? Whose buy-in do you need in order to make the change internally? And any changes that are going to be required, that could mean changing contracts, it could also mean integrating or replacing certain platforms. As a seller, you need to guide your champion through all of the stages within the change management process. What you're gonna have to do is to identify their existing business model and what's gonna be required to change. So it's really important that you understand both their buying cycle and your sales cycle as well. So that way you can help guide them through each stage and make sure that you're checking all the boxes internally as well as externally as you move through the process. There is a significant amount of collaboration that occurs within the organization. The average B2B sale has anywhere from 6 to 10 decision makers, with large companies having upwards of 25 of them. It's important that you work with your champion to map out the stakeholders. We can break these down into 4 main categories. The first one is the most important, which is a champion. This is going to be someone that helps with making a change internally to gather consensus from all stakeholders. They're going to act as a change agent within the organization. Think of them as your internal salesperson. You will collaborate with them throughout the process to influence the other stakeholders. The next role I'll talk about is the economic buyer. This is often your champion's boss, the person who signs the checks. They are going to be influenced by the financial benefits. They could be a C-level executive or it could be a VP. The next one is the financial buyer. This is somebody that works in finance. They're focused on the financial health of their organization. Very cost conscious, and they're typically more involved in larger organizations. Finally, you have the end user. This is gonna be the person who's actually hands-on keyboard within the platform. They're typically your day-to-day contact post-sale. So anybody that's impacted by your solution, it's important that you get them to buy in on it. Typically, this involves multiple demos. Since they each have their own priorities, you're gonna have to position your solution to appeal to each one of those priorities. Next, you wanna make the financial case. So in the case of programmatic, you're moving from a managed service partnership model, which is a pass-through cost, to a self-service model, which requires dedicated budgets. You have to justify making a change to their business model. And the way you do that is by making a really strong financial case with a return on investment analysis. Work with your champion to get access to the existing revenue, their existing cost structure, and what profits they're making. Then you will have to identify what you expect to occur post-sale in terms of revenue growth, any additional expenses, as well as any profit-generating opportunities. Use your internal case studies and examples from other clients to justify your estimations. Paint a picture of a really strong financial case for why they should make this change, which shows that it's a smart investment. Lay out exactly what the financial benefits will be post-sale. That's gonna motivate change within the stakeholder committee. If you're gonna be selling in software, chances are your prospect has an existing tech stack. You have to identify what that tech stack looks like and which platforms are going to be required to integrate with, as well as which ones can be replaced. From there, outline the specific onboarding process, what training and resources are going to be required in order to successfully onboard this software. This can involve potentially allocating an employee from a different responsibility, or it could mean that they have to hire somebody. Finally, make sure that you outline clearly what they can expect in terms of support and services post-sale to help put their mind at ease, and then consistently remind them of the financial benefits that they're gonna get, as well as any operational benefits that they can expect post-sales, and any sort of partnership models that can make their life easier. So for example, at Basis, we have a path to self-service partnership model, which means that we're giving you a dedicated buyer to trade in your instance of Basis while we train you to take it over. This allows agencies and advertisers to in-house programmatic without disrupting their business in a crawl, walk, run approach. Partnership models like that make their lives easier without disrupting business can be a highly effective way for making this change as seamless as possible. You can download the full onboarding step of my book, Top Sales Producer, How to Crush Your Sales Quota, by heading over to my website, andrewbarbuto.com. Check out my meeting hack on how to secure next steps in 5 minutes. I put out weekly B2B sales tips on my YouTube. Head over to youtube.com @andrewbarbuto. If you work in media and you like to have a conversation about whether it makes sense to bring programmatic in-house, please reach out. I'd be happy to speak with you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. And remember, if you're not helping, you're not selling. Thanks.